we're going to put the swing behind our back, drop straight down, and make sure the mat feels like it's in a good position for our sumo squat. What we're looking for is our bum to be hanging in the very center of the mat and our toes to be touching the front on a 45-degree angle. Yay. And then we want to engage our shoulders, use the forearm press. That's really helpful to lift the sternum. So just practice the lift, right? So lift the sternum, engage the lats, so lower body doesn't move. Can you feel that little micro movement there? That's it. So we want to get that engagement with the upper body as well as the lower body completely hanging. So most people will be pushing. If that's the case, you have to pick up your feet, make sure you're not cheating, and then gently put them down. There we go. That's the more engaged version of the sumo squat. So whenever you see somebody pushing forward a lot, just have them lift their legs. That way they can be a little bit more honest about it. Okay, great. So we're going to press back. Let's open up into a supported back bend. Just take a few little shifts from side to side. I'm just going to open up nice and slow. Let's do one warm lap here. Support the neck. Pass the behind the head. Nice. Sway from side to side. Let that feel good. We're nice and slow. So we're moving into flying butterfly. With flying butterfly, we're going to use the leg loops on our ankles. So we're going to come back to center. One leg loop at a time. Let's test those out and make sure that they're in a good position. And we're going to do several rounds. So all the equipment has been tested all weekend, but every time I bring the swing down, I just look up and I make sure, does everything look okay? Carabiners, everything's the same length. Make sure this feels like a good height. You can bring your leg loops down one, but not up, right? You can kind of feel the difference. Everything else is looking pretty good. When they're lower, it's easier. Just something to keep in mind with new people with the tight hamstrings. So there is a little play when it says, where do you put the leg loops? It's a personal preference, whatever comfort level and taste for what they like. If you have them higher, they will make some of the poses a little bit more challenging to get in and out because you have to kind of lift yourself higher. Okay, great. So we're going to be here. We're going to bring the bottoms of the feet together. I call this the double diamond. You're going to bring your hands clasped behind your head and then just relax back into it. So your hips are neutral. They're not going to sink down as much as normal, but you're not pushing them up either. See if you can find that neutral position. And just let your body kind of float into space a little bit. I really like the double diamond as a restorative pose for Padmasana. So the hips are opening, we're moving the knees away from one another, we're gluing the feet together, but it's nice and easy. Do a little bending from side to side, a little side body stretcher, so your elbow is going towards the same side of the knee. Kristen, we're just warming it nice and slow, waiting for you. So we're getting into, let's all come back to our floating Buddha. We're putting the swing behind our back, stay seated when you put the leg loops on. And then we're going to start out with the leg loops on the ankles. On the ankles. Oh, on there. Great. So let's go ahead and come into our chillaxed arms and just do some windshield wipers. Make sure the leg loops feel like they're in a good position for you. Does that feel okay? Find out soon if this doesn't work. You can always adjust them. Try to get them all the equipment ready before we get into any sort of the acrobatics. Today's the more advanced poses, so we definitely want to make sure we have everything just right before we try any flips. So we know our anchors, our holds, we're getting it all dialed. And we're going to start out nice and slow because the flying butterfly is pretty much the easiest flip we do. It might not seem easy in some parts, but there are variations. So everybody can do a variation of it. Come back to center, open up wide straddle T. One more time. Glue the bottoms of the feet together. This is super important. The feet do not come apart this entire time. You'll see people going like this. This is our anchor, right? So we keep our anchor nice and strong. This time, push your knees out and down. So the hips are neutral, right? They're not hanging. They're not pushing up. They're neutral. See if you can find that. Nice. So the idea is we want to start to open up the body before we put any pressure on it, right? So really important to make sure the hips The other option is to spread out the leg loops. We're going to do that next. Let's just try this first one. We're going to inhale, reach up as high as we can. We're going to pull ourselves into a flying monkey. Now once we're in flying monkey, we're just going to rest our head back. Our arms are straight. We take a couple breaths. From here, let's do some bicep curls. So keep your feet glued together, pull yourself up so you're sitting on your heels, right? You have a little bit of space there, but you don't want your legs to be extended. You want your knees bent a lot. This might be uncomfortable for some people's knees or ankles, and we'll give some adjustments. Just do 5 bicep curls. Next time you pull yourself up, you're going to thread your hand through. So the arm stays around the swing. You bring it in front of the leg loop. This is a review for everybody, but it's good too. Take it nice and slow, and then we lean forward. When we lean forward with the arms open wide, they're in position, the thumbs are in position with the shoulders is not back, right? So this keeps our chest lifted. So we do the cool Jesus, got our thumbs in position, right? So you're a little bit far back below. You push your hands towards me, but keep leaning forward, but feel that your arms are lifting you, right? So it's not so much of a head dive. Yeah. Okay. Drop your hips forward into it a little bit more. Push your hips towards the ground. Yes, there it is. Good. Sorry, pretty. Sometimes you can't tell who I'm looking at. Look. Looking behind you. Okay, great. Then bend the elbows, slide into the elbow crease. Now you can hang your head, hang your heart for flying butterfly. So in this pose, I like to just relax like we do in butterfly on the ground, or butterfly when we come through chillaxin. And then bend a little from side to side. So we call it fluttering. Just flutter a little in the space.
What's it called before we hang on our
Skydiver?
Oh,
Skydiver, straight arms, bend elbows, butterfly.
Okay.
That's consistent with the other variations too. Okay, great. So now we're going to come into what I call Supta Baddha, or an inverted Baddha Konasana. Supta, I do realize means reclined, but we're reclining, just forward. Okay, so we're going to straighten our arms one at a time, bring them down to the ground, lower yourself with ease, and then you're going to feel a lot of pressure on the top of the thigh. If that's too much, we'll do a different variation. Let's see if you can, for one, straighten the arms and come into a version of our upside down dog. Okay, pressing back. The other version is to come forward into handstand arms and into looking. So most people will like to keep their hands on the ground at first to feel safe, but then you can bend your elbows and hang. You can clasp your hands, clasp your arms, just hang up here. I also like to pull down on the back of the neck. It's a really good version. And then the other version I like a lot is to push up on your thighs. So my hands are pushing up towards the sky, and I'm straightening my spine, and that really creates some space in the lumbar. Lovely waist. Okay, let's come out if your legs are screaming. That's long enough for the first one. Okay, I'm going to plant my right hand down. My left arm is going to reach back behind me. Grab for the swing, not the leg loops, but the swing in the center. In the center, instead. That's the leg. Grab in the center. Reach back further over your Reach back further over your butt. Grab for the swing. The swing's in the middle. Okay, so like we did on the ground, we're going to turn our arm over and make an X in the swing. So you have to lift. It's a little bit of an up. Once you lift, take the X out, and then just hang. So it's like we did on the ground with our tricep curls, we're just going to hang. Now once we hang, we can straighten our arms a couple times and start to engage the underbelly, the body. And then balance when you get to the top, sitting on your feet, get the swing behind your back. Make sure you balance. Not underneath your neck, but underneath the arms. And then you can come back. Woo! Straighten the legs nice and slow. Okay. So that was a lot. You know, it's kind of a long sequence, but really what we want to do is just get somebody into the flying butterfly, and from there we can choose the variations. Kristen, you'll notice that I'm going to teach more like regular training. Since these teachers will be teaching classes, you'll notice I'll be using different language. But follow along. So I'm talking to like you're teaching students, and what would you say to the students? Okay, let's go ahead and come through center. Spread the leg loops out from the arch of the foot, cover the heel, all the way to the top of the calf. Okay, underneath the knee, don't cover the knee. Okay? So this is a really nice variation. When there's a larger surface area, there's not so much pressure on the legs. It usually feels better. So we're going to go through the same sequence one more time. Okay, feet together. Push the knees open. You can always come into the double diamond. Somebody wanting to do a more restorative version. I'm trying to open the hips. We're pushing the knees down. Take a couple breaths. Let's inhale and reach up as high as we can on the leg loops. You kind of have to bunch them up, right? You can reach for the top of the nub, and if it's available to, pull yourself up. Feet are glued together the whole time. Really strong, Cody. Feet are glued together. Push, and then lean back into the flying monkey. Most of the time, people are losing their anchors, so they don't have a strong foundation to sit on. That's no bueno. Go ahead and pull yourself back up. 5 bicep curls. Exhale, lower back down into flying monkey. Inhale back up. Exhale back down. If you reach up higher, it's easier to do the bicep curl, so play with that. I like to hold where the fabric meets the webbing if it's available, especially if people have a tough time gripping. That's a nice place for them to feel like they can hold on a little bit better. Okay, little tricks. Keep your feet together lower if you can. And then you're going to bring yourself through. So remember, thread through. Most people will lose the swing there, so remind them to keep your arms wrapped around the swing and then come right over the leg loops. Good. Very smooth. Feet together. Okay, push your hips forward if you can. Yes. Okay. Cool, Jesus. Good way to remember, right? Thumbs right in line with the shoulders. So that way the chest is leading the way. Push your, so Roy, if your feet come back a little bit more, then the hips can, yeah, like back, then the hips can come forward. Beautiful. Now bend the elbows and hang. Does that feel a little bit better on everybody's legs?
Yeah.
Spread out. Mm-hmm.
I like it the other way, actually. I kind of like the other one more, too. Yeah. I like the pressure.
Yeah, it's just different. So this is a nice variation. It's really important that the feet stay level with the hips. They don't point up towards the sky. A couple people have slid out. I'm still amazed that they did, but they did. So feet stay level with the hips. Toes do not point towards the sky. You guys see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, one arm at a time, straighten and come on down. I like the Supta Baddha a little bit better with it spread out. I feel like I can hang up here a little bit longer. I also feel like I can get a nice deep stretch when I push my hands into my quads.
Now, do your feet want to point up when you're in this position?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Still
Make sure your feet are level with your hips and not pointing towards the sky.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you can keep your anchor.
Gotcha.
Yeah, some people, they point their feet towards the sky, start to straighten their legs, and they slide out.
Gotcha.
It's kind of intuitive not to do that, but if you forget, reach up and grab for the outer edges of the feet and pull them down towards the ground, and that's where the feet should be. You guys got it?
That feels good just hanging out around my feet.
Yeah. So like where your feet don't want to point towards the sky, reach up and grab them and make sure they stay level. And so that's like an acro without the buddy. So go ahead and try some arm variations here again. You can straighten them out and come into an upside down dog. Just really extending through the chest, getting as much space and arching in the upper thoracics. And then you can pull forward for an up dog, where you're coming into handstand arms. So shoulder distance with the hands if you can. There you go. Good. Beautiful. And then you can just hang. I like to clasp my fingers around my neck and pull straight down. Very gently tractioning cervical spine. So really, really great stretch, great space. Okay, go ahead and plant. If you want to switch hands, try planting the left hand, reaching back with the right, and noticing if one side is easier than the other. It usually is. Once you get up, you remove the X and come on down into the tricep stretch. How do you just do it? Yeah, it can be a little tricky. Keep the feet together. Make sure you have your foundation. Okay, once you come up, you can balance. Put the swing behind your back. Make sure it's underneath your arms and not your neck before you lean back. A lot of people will lean back with it around their neck. Gently straighten the
single days.
Good. Yeah, we're being held in multiple places, so we don't want to. There's so many places to grab onto. We're usually okay, but it's always good to find the balance first, and then swing around this, then back. It's a little crazy. All right, then we're going to switch back to bunched up the ankles for the flips. Okay, so now we're learning our first flip. This flip tends to be difficult for people. I find if the leg loops are higher, the flip is easier. We want to watch for the first one. Okay, I'm going to do it a little bit more quickly. Coming through, flying monkey, bicep curl, flying butterfly. I can come down. Okay, I'm going to reach up and grab the leg loops this time, as high as I can. Once I grab the leg loops, I arch and open, and then I'm going to tuck and kick. I'm going to kick up over the swing and land with it behind my back. Now, most of the time, what happens is people don't reach up high enough, and even if they do reach up high enough, they let their hands slide down as they're starting to flip. You just have to do it quickly, grip, and then flip. If you do it too slow, your hands will start to slide. Okay, let's try it together. Let's go a little bit quicker. Balanasana, flying monkey, bicep curl, flying butterfly, come on cow. I will come around in the spot you can either just try it a couple times. If you don't get it on the first time, try again. Reach up and grab the leg loops as high as you can. Wiggle yourself up. So you arch and open. So arch and open on that one. Yeah. And then you can wiggle up. So I'm almost to the nub. Okay? I'm going to tuck, kick, and then make sure my feet go up over the swing. Just try it. Tuck and kick. So not the swing, Sam, the leg loops. Hold it up as high as you can. Quickly, tuck and kick, tuck, kick, tuck, kick over.